The Philippine Journal of Science, the oldest peer-reviewed scientific journal in the Philippines. For more than a century, the Philippine Journal of Science has maintained its tradition of excellence through its rigorous peer review process. Current Editor-in-Chief of PJS, Dr. Cesar A. Saloma explains the difference between a scientific journal to other publications and the importance of journal publication.
Let me begin by giving us a short background sa Philippine Journal of Science. Ang unang issue ng Philippine Journal of Science was published in 1906. And ang Philippine Journal of Science is a scientific journal in a sense that yung mga articles na pinapublish nito ay kailangang nag-contain ng isang original na report at may tinatawag nating scientific merit. So that ma-ensure natin na makasatisfy ng isang published article sa Philippine Journal of Science itong criteria na ito, lahat ng manuscript submissions ay mag-undergo ng isang tinatawag na peer review process. Ano po ba ito? Ang bawat manuscript submission, ibibigay natin sa expert. At ang expert na yon, i-request natin na he or she will critically read it and try to identify ano ang original content, ano ang novelty ng report, at kung ito ay may scientific merit. So, yung particular difference ng isang scientific journal compared with other mode of communications like newspaper or magazine is yung issue na ang ilabas na mga articles ay original ang content, interesting, at least to the scientific community, at may scientific merit. To ensure that these three criteria are satisfied, it will undergo a peer review process by experts.
Former Editor-in-Chief of PJS and Philippine National Scientist Dr. Dolores Ramirez discusses the process of a peer review process.
All scientific journals worth its salt has to be peer reviewed because you ask your peers, you ask people of the same discipline to take a look at your research findings, if only to validate. Ganon. And in most instances, your reviewers will be able to point out what are the strengths of the paper as well as the weaknesses. They would be able to suggest how to improve the paper or even how to improve the interpretation of the results.
Its first publisher was the Bureau of Science, which was established under the American government during their occupation in the country. As PJS reported findings about tropical medicine and health, zoology, botany, entomology, chemistry, and geology, PJS immediately became the leading scientific publication in the tropical region. PJS has recorded the customs and traditions of the various tribes in the country. Paul C. Frere, a medical doctor, was its first editor-in-chief. He was also the director of the Bureau of Science. It was in 1908 when an article authored by a Filipino was first featured in PJS. Dr. Fernando Calderon wrote the paper Obstetrics in the Philippines, which is about the lack of scientific basis of maternal health care in far-flung communities in the country. Dr. Calderon was one of the leading Filipino obstetricians during his time. From 1942 to 1946, PJS ceased its publication because of the World War II. After the war, PJS quickly resumed its operations while keeping its excellence intact. In 2006, PJS celebrated its 100th year anniversary. As part of its celebration, the PJS Centennial Edition showcased a compilation of select articles that were previously published in PJS. Filipino science luminaries such as Dr. William Padalina, PJS Editor-in-Chief during that time, board members Dr. Consolacion Ragasa, Dr. Fabian M. Dairit, Dr. Florencia G. Claveria, Dr. Quina N. Lee Chua, and invited experts Dr. Daniel McNamara, Dr. Grashani Yumol, and Dr. Carla De Malanta were involved in selecting old articles of PJS. Last 2013, the Philippine Journal of Science released a special issue dedicated for the late Leonardo Co, a renowned Filipino botanist, admired by his students and peer alike. The students gave him the nickname the Walking Philippine Botanical Encyclopedia. The issue compiles papers about plants that were written by local authors as well as those from Singapore, Netherlands, Germany, and USA.
Critical nito na lahat ng submissions sa Philippine Journal of Science through its editorial office would have to undergo a peer review process. Ang critical na masatisfy na requirement ng isang article sa Philippine Journal of Science ay originality, novelty, at scientific merit. By ensuring that the articles that appear in the journal satisfies this requirement, will ensure that ang mga nababasa ng readers ay isang scientific report na reliable ang information.
For more than a century of reporting discoveries in scientific research in the Philippines and the world, the Philippine Journal of Science remains to its commitment to be the leading source of information about science.